All right, so I've been thinking a lot about my name like recently, and I just don't know why. So, like, when things I don't understand, of course, I take it to the notebook. So then I was just curious, like, I learned sign language when I was a kid, so I know how to, sign my name with sign. So I was just like, do I don't know how to do my name in braille? Like, if I ever had the opportunity, like, I want to learn Braille, so I've been teaching myself like here and there. So boom, I found the alphabet in Braille, right? So boom, here we go. So don't mind me, I was getting a little carried away. I forgot to put V over here, but I didn't want to erase this whole line just for one letter, so I just added V right there. So boom. So anyways, so this is my name in Braille, Jacqueline. And then of course, patterns and patterns get my attention, right? So of course I'm just like automatically I picked out like E mirrors I. Then you put E and I together, you get G. And then, little stuff like that. So I spell my name out. Boom. And then I always said there's a clue in the number three, like the way, like when they just because it spells out clue. So that was just my inside joke. So all the letters that equal three is C, L, and U. So I'm like, oh, there's a clue with the number three. I've always said this. So then, okay, I spelled out Wuta with Braille. And I kind of messed up right there, so I just did it again right there. So, anyways, so then I picked out all the letters, boom, that got one dot, which is A, two dots, and then three dots, then four dots, and then five. Interesting enough to me, right? Boom. So then what did I say down here? I already explained that how E and I will equal G. They're like mirrors of each other, just like H and J kind of mirror each other. So here's H, that's J. You see that? Two dots down and then one over. Kind of reminds me of chess. Two down, one over. So then, what I say? W and R, R, W and R does the same thing. So W got the three dots in the right column, and then just the middle dot, and then R same three dots middle, but they're like a reflection of each other. So I'm just picking up like little subtle cues with this. I'm like, I wonder what. All right, so one thing led to another. So there's like that's why I put these numbers right here. So 2 with 5 dots, 9 with 4 dots, 9 with 3 dots, 5 with 2 dots, and 1 with 1 dot. So, and then just playing around as far as like with the dots in numerical order. So these is what these numbers would represent. So that's A, B, C, E, I, and just going on along with that. So that's what this is. So of course, one thing always leads to another with me. So then I'm just curious, like, okay, so just going with Braille, but just that A, with the numerical order with the dots. Let me pause this, yeah. So just with the numerical order with the dots, I just did this. So that's with Braille. And then I was just like, okay, so if I apply it with the English alphabet, like what would be the differences? But anyways, this is just me in my inner doings. Just I just have to know these things. So I'm just like, okay, so A B C, and then five will be E. So I'm just like, okay, the difference between 3 to 5 is 2. Difference between 5 and 9 is 4. 9 and 11 is 2. So I just did that going all the way down. I don't know why. It's just makes me happy. Okay, don't judge me. But then I did the Braille alphabet and then the English alphabet. Then I just put the difference within the numbers and then the letters in between each letter. So from I to E. So obviously you can't go from I to E. So you go from E to I. So between E and I is F, G, and H. Between F and K is G, H, I. And I just did that for all the letters. So the asterisks here are just letters that never changed from their placements with the Braille alphabet and then the American English alphabet. So it was interesting to me. ABC never changed. Neither did J or the letter T. They kept their numeric values and their letter placements in both alphabets. So that was interesting to me. And then these right here that's blank, there's no change really. It's just like either you're going frontwards or backwards, but it's the next letter in succession. So then boom, 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 I got over here to thinking now, like, okay, so I know, because I had just met a neighbor down the street and she called me Yaki, and I started laughing because, like, as a kid, all little kids used to call me Yaki, Yaki, Yaki. Then got me to thinking, like, you know, to doing research to finding out that Y, you know, used to be J, or it's the sound for J before J came to be. But then I also found out that I played that same role as well. So then I was just curious in my head. I'm like, okay, so if I became J and then Y became J, I and Y are seen as vowels. I'm like, so why wouldn't J be a vowel? Be considered as a vowel? And then I'm like, maybe J is a vowel that acts as or is disguised as a consonant. So I'm like, okay, so J, because remember, like, I know it was like some previous videos I did before, I called J straight up a secret agent, because to me, J is just like the unification of, you know, two letters coming into be, just like the number 10 would be like the unification of 1 and 0, masculine and feminine, like however you want to look at it. That's how I look at J. And that's how I was always seeing J. So that's why I was like, okay, so J would not be a vowel, because when you pronounce J, J comes from like the lower region, like in your throat or your larynx, your voice box, however you want to look at it. And when you say a vowel, it comes from like a higher, it comes from up here. When you say vowels, when you say consonants, it comes from right here. So I'm like, in character, J would be a vowel to me. But as far as pronunciation, it falls along with the consonants. So this is just me rationalizing this in my mind. So then I spelled my name with both an I and a Y. Just like, okay, what would that look like, right? So that's what I was just explaining here. J in character is sacred, which represents the number 10, or TEN, which is the number 1, hidden in between A and S. And I'm just showing here how Y got turned to J, and this is just me. And then I'm like, okay, oh, now you got my attention, number 10, because I'm like, why doesn't 10 show up as 10? Why does it have to come into two particles and not just 1 0, like on the calculator, the phones, and things like that? So this is just my inner workings now to show that 0 and 1 repeats in 10. So when you count from 0 to 10, the 0 and this 1, that's just a reflection of each. So I said this leaves 2 through 9 to just remain constant, as 0 and 1 are always the ones that transforms from greater to lesser, or from lesser to greater. But those two do the movements, these stay the same. So then I added up 2 through 9, just, you know, for shits and giggles, boom. So that will equal 44, which will equal 8. And then that got me thinking about pie, or like a slice of pizza being split into 8 slices when it's really now when I got to, because like this is just the calculator keys, what's this, phone keys, and then the numbers on the keyboard, the keypad, the number pad. Then I'm like, the one thing they all have in common is that they are a key and different keys. So boom, that's why I said all are keys. So then boom, flip over to this page now. So then I just like drew out the keyboard on a computer keyboard, boom. So don't mind my drawing, but that's just me. So here are your F keys, and this just got my attention. I'm like, the first key on the keyboard when you look at it is escape. So you have an option like to escape the matrix if you so choose. at the very beginning. If not, you got to run through the programs. But there's still an escape backspace. But this is just my way of thinking right now. But anyways, back to my name. So I put my first, middle, and last name. First, middle, and last name is entered in these keys, right? So this is where this comes from. So before I added the CRT, because this is where my middle and last name come in, because all the other letters were still here. So before I added the CRT, that's what we was looking like right there. And then over there. So then that's why we come down here. I have QA will equal B in Braille. You can see like the B in Braille, and these are the letters in Braille. So that's just me over here. So over here I have QEA. So QEA in Braille will equal F. Not sure about the C because I'm just looking at like two columns, like essentially. So I'm like, C will sit down there by itself, either right here or right there, depending on the columns. But in Braille, I haven't found anything to match that, so that's why I have a question mark. So then I'm like, boom, when I'm looking at the E by itself, E will sit up there, E will equal A, and then this right here, UILJN. This before I put in my last name, the O came in here too, my bad, so I added the O in my last name. But anyways, that's what I have right here. Those would equal Q, the way that they sit with the 3 down right here, 1, 2, and then boom, Q. And then if you put QEAS together, G. And this is just me playing around, finding all these different things. So then I did by the keyboard, like the row by itself, like what letters or word can I spell out of this? And now, this is what have my attention. So remember how I said like, so I just pulled all the letters off of this top row. So the QERT, that's in my name, UIO, and then AS, L, and then CN. So then I have brought those same letters over here. So this is where we're at now. So I put all the letters together, but of course I'm just curious, like now I'm like, okay, I have 13 letters in my first, middle, and last name, like the same 13 letters used for my name. So I'm just like, cool, so I only used half of the alphabet. So I'm like, there's another 13 letters that's not in my name, or la 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 la. So then I had just put the letters together in chronological order. So even though they didn't come in this order, so that's why I started here, A, C, E, I, J, just putting them all together, how they go in the alphabet. So then I'm looking at these letters, and then the first thing that jumped out to me is the word ancestor in my first and middle and last name, right? Like the first thing that jumped out to me, I won't lie, is when I had it sitting like this, it was question. So I said, a question, I have a question in my name. And literally, AQUESTION, I have a question in my name. And what's left is RJLC, which JLC are my initials for my name, and then I would just leave R. So this is just where it's getting interesting to me. But anyway, so after I put them in order, ancestor is the first thing that jumped out. So then boom, wrote out ancestors, and then the only letters I had left was Juli, or JULIIL, however you want to look at it, but which this didn't come to be until after I came down here and I was looking at this on the keyboard right here for what's connected, and this is where I got this name from, JULION. This is still my first, middle, and last name, but it can still spell Julian right there. So I was like, am I missing some names out my letters? Because I'm like, this matches. I'm like, well, I don't know. I spelled two things here, Ancestor Juli, with these 13 letters. And then down here, when I pulled out what was connected on the keyboard, this is what I got. But like I saw Julian, then I'm just messing around like, okay, like a June oil or a lion Jew. That's where the Julian came from. And then okay. So, okay. So remember, I forgot to share this part. So remember I had said the letters CLU is all the number 3. So boom, I had just spelled clue out and I just overlapped them as if, I just overlapped them just within the 2 collars, just wrote one letter on top of the other. So when I did that, this is what clue looks like, and which got my attention because it's also the letter Y. This is kind of crooked, but you can see the 2 columns, 1, 2, and then 3, and then 2. That one's open. And then CLU is the same, but it goes this way. Y goes that way. So I said the clue mirrors Y. And then I just started doing my name, and I didn't even finish my whole name. I only got to the Q before I filled up all the spots, all the dots. I'm like, whatever I put after this, after the U, wouldn't matter because I'll just be still rewriting over the same dots. So JACQU. So that's boom, my name. So then when I started saying it, I was like Jaku. So I'm like, at first, I heard Jackal, then I heard like Jaku, Yaku, and then of course got to Jacob. So I was just like, wait a minute, it's Jacqueline or Jaqueline, however you want to say it, Jacqueline. Is it like really like a feminine name for Jacob? And then that's what it led me to, like, boom. So I got down here and I was not wrong. Right? So like got the different forms of Jacqueline and how before all the letters came to be, this is how my name would have been spelled. And it would have been pronounced Jacobus. So, and I'm like, okay, and so the Hebrew term for my name, I was right, was Jacob, Yaakov or Yaakov. Greek, same thing, Ichabus, Latin, Ichabus, and French, Jacques, or Jacques, or Jacques, Jacques. But anyways, I just wanted to share that. I didn't mean for this to be too much of a long video, but just like out of all curiosity, you ever wonder what's in your name? You don't have to be like a nerd like me, or you could be like a nerd like me. Do like your first, middle, last name. See how many other letters in the alphabet that your name occupied. That's 1. 2, see if you have a hidden ancestor name in your name. Because I do believe like our names were not accidents.